The Alabama Farmers Federation and the Alabama Farmers Cooperative proudly present Simply Southern with your hosts Jim Allen and Mary Johns.
Hello and thanks for joining us for Simply Southern. I'm Mary Johns.
And I'm Jim Allen. Coming up on today's show, we'll tour Cotton Gin that's so high-tech you might think you were piloting a spaceship rather than cleaning cotton.
This is the most modern gin in the world, in my opinion. It's got some of the latest technology available to cotton gins.
It's Alabama's Bicentennial year, and everyone is getting in on the celebration, including the Alabama Brewers Guild.
They were talking about the Bicentennial and sort of how can the brewers sort of participate in that, but at the end of the day, we thought that's kind of the coolest thing over several years through a series and kind of focus on each state capital.
In our gardening segment, Sidney Phelps will tell you what color can tell you about your tomato's flavor.
But coming up after the break, we'll meet a guy who builds some interesting homes for fish.
A complex reef has places where little fish can get inside and hide from big fish so they can grow up to where they can fend for themselves.
What sustains us? Food, family, faith. Alabama farmers live those things every day. They conserve our resources, clothe our families, and fill our tables. They cultivate jobs for our communities and values for our future. Farmers grow it all right here in Alabama.
There's no such thing as downtime when you own a farm. This is your land. You tend it and try to get the most from it, no matter the weather or time of day. It's been that way for generations. And for generations, your local quality co-op store has been there for you, with a full range of agriculture supplies and services, from feed to fertilizer, seed to grain storage, and the right hardware for any application. You'll always find what you need, plus friendly, knowledgeable advice at your local quality co-op store. There's one near you.
If a chartered fishing expedition is your idea of a good time, an artificial reef may have put a fish on your hook. Fishermen, divers, and even researchers have benefited from these man-made sea houses, which can take the form of anything from a sunken boat to a stack of car tires. This week, we're visiting a Baldwin County construction company that leads the nation in underwater housing. When David Walter purchased a small shipyard in Fairhope, he had no idea he'd be getting into the used car business.
I probably was the South's largest used car dealer. And they would bring me cars all hours of the day and night. And God knows where they came from.
If you're already wondering what price he'd offer you on that rusty Fiero out back, just ease that phone back in the cradle. David doesn't deal in cars. He deals in reefs. Today, his company, Walter Marine, is the largest manufacturer of artificial reefs in the nation. But it all got started back in the 80s with a few jalopies and a boat.
I wound up with a little shipyard in Fairhope, and I bought a vessel out of the oil field when it collapsed in the mid-1980s for $2,500. Didn't know what I was going to do with it, just stuck it in the back of the boatyard, and I got approached by Earl Griffith, and Earl said, "David, would you convert that boat to haul junk automobiles?" Like, what for? It's like for artificial reefs. It's like, can you do that?
It turns out that cars make pretty good digs for sea critters, a boon for charter fishing expeditions heading to Alabama's Gulf waters. While automobiles were eventually banned for use as reefs, in 1997 the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers authorized an expansion to the state's artificial reef zone, which opened the door for a thriving new enterprise.
I knew I had to build a manufactured reef. The little boat that I had was not big enough to haul a concrete structure. And we came up with putting metal on concrete reef, and we sold those all the way from Texas all the way to the east coast of Florida. And then I tried to sell it to the Miami-Dade County area, and they said we only use limestone boulders because Florida limestone rock is the perfect pH for all marine life to grow on. So therefore, that's all we use.
Walter Marine creates reefs for a number of purposes. Their larger pyramid-shaped structures range from 8 to 25 feet in height. providing a cave-like habitat for larger fish like grouper. Other structures are designed for shallower water, with a more complex design that creates shelter for smaller species of sea life. Divers, fishermen, marine researchers, and more benefit from public use of the reefs. But many of David's customers have less than public intentions with the reefs they buy.
So I had a guy that had a dock. He said, I want to put a reef underneath my dock. And I said, my reef won't fit underneath your dock. He said, well, make me one. And so we built 4 of those and put them underneath his dock. Well, in 6 weeks, the guy had 40 mangrove snapper underneath his dock. He said, David, I don't use my boat anymore.
Customers can even purchase a memorial reef for a unique way to remember their loved ones.
They'll bring their loved ones' ashes. They'll go out to this reef, and we pour the concrete in there, and we help them, assist them in mixing the ashes into the concrete. And then they can decorate it any way they want.
But ultimately, these reefs are helping to conserve sea life in our oceans. Red snapper populations had dwindled when Alabama created its artificial reef zones, but today they're responsible for 40% of all snapper caught off our state's shores. Walter Marine's creations have protected shoreline, produced new homes for fish and oyster populations, and created new recreational opportunities on Alabama's Gulf Coast. I'd say that's not too shabby for a retired used car dealer. Mary, I really learned a lot in this story. I had no idea these reefs were so important to some fishermen, and I know some guys that would pay good money to find out where these reefs are.
Oh, I'm sure, but I would think Mr. Walter maybe has a map of where all of them are. Did you get to a look at that when you were at Orange Beach?
My futility behind a fishing pole will continue to suggest otherwise, Mary.
Oh gosh. Well, how about something you might have better luck with? Up next on Simply Southern, brewing beer collides with state history as we find out how the Alabama Brewers Guild is commemorating Alabama's Bicentennial.
Soybean is a very versatile product. We make crayons out of it.
A lot of the combines you see rolling through the fields have a lot of plastic side panels that are made from a soy product.
The soybeans that we grow on our farm mostly goes into chicken feed.
Soybean production in Alabama employs over 10,000 people.
We grow some of the best soybeans in the world.
We go the extra mile to make sure when our name is stamped on it, we know it's the best product we can produce.
You could see it before anyone else. Your future, your own place, independence. It's not perfect, but you love it. A place to grow, to be yourself.
All for a better life.
Dream big. Alpha Insurance.
All for a better life.
Protect your dream with Alpha's new business owner policies.
A farmer has to live on faith. We do all we can do, but we can only control so much.
Alabama is the second largest poultry growing state in the nation, so we're trying our best to grow all the corn we can for that.
What we produce not only feeds and clothes all of the United States, but about half of what we make goes on to the world market.
We've been able to improve yields, have some things that can help us produce a better crop. I'm proud of the product we make and proud that I can say I'm an Alabama farmer.
Alabama turns 200 years old in December, and folks from Abbeville to Winfield are planning events to celebrate. But the Alabama Brewers Guild is ahead of the curve. They started brewing special bicentennial beers back in 2015. Earlier this year, the group met in Montgomery to create its final craft commemorating the bicentennial.
In the city that's served as Alabama's capital since the 1840s, craft brewers from across the state gathered at Common Bond, a relatively new brewery. They're here to create the last of 5 collaboration beers, one for each of the state's 5 capitals throughout history.
It's cool for me to kind of bring in sort of the historical aspect of it and really kind of teach history through beer. I mean, the thing about beer is people come for the beer, and once you have them as an audience, you can kind of give them some additional information and teach them about things. So I think we've actually brought a lot of people to become knowledgeable about the fact that the Bicentennial is coming up and about the former state capitals.
While each of the beers has a specific brewer of record, they truly are a collaborative effort of nearly 40 local breweries that are members of the Alabama Brewers Guild. From the recipe to the labeling and marketing, Guild members worked together to make these Bicentennial brews stand out, including the newest beer, dedicated to the city of Montgomery.
We thought it was a perfect time to release Bitter Constituent, which is an American-style IPA that honors a lot of the tough battles that a lot of people have, faced.
The first Alabama Brewers Guild collaboration beer, St. Stephen's Stout, was released in 2015 and pays tribute to the Washington County ghost town that served as Alabama's territorial capital. Next came Badlin Brothers Imperial Ale.
The first brewery in Alabama was owned by James and William Badlin in Huntsville. So we took sort of the type of beers they made, we sort of did a old version ingredients for them, used some molasses. We also imperialized it, kind of make it more modern, and that was brewed it straight to ale, and that was really well received.
In 2017, the Guild collaborated on Mulberry Road, an homage to Old Cahaba, which was known for the mulberry trees that line the road to the old Capitol building. And 2018's beer was dedicated to Alabama's fourth capital city.
Tuscaloosa has this really old historic building. It's an old stagecoach inn. It was originally called Duffy's Tavern, and so we kind of played with that name and made an old English style ale, which is the type of beers they would have had available.
The Bicentennial beers have all been limited release, so if you want to try 2019's brew, Bitter Constituent, you'll have to act fast.
Right now it's going to be on draft accounts across the state, but you can also come to the tap room here, Montgomery, Common Bond's tap room.
It's also been instructive for me doing this project to sort of see some of the struggles that they have and the logistical challenges. So for this year, we're going to do completely draft. You can't come to the brewery and get a can, a large format can called a crowler. But it's just such a pain to get all the logistics together for the cans and canning process and six-pack holders or bottles with six-pack cartons and things like that.
Despite the challenges, those involved in the collaboration process said they're glad they can use their knowledge in a unique way to join in the state's bicentennial celebrations.
Most of our meetings, we get together and we talk about politics and regulations and business realities and logistics and things like that. And most of the guys who started breweries, they started breweries to brew beer. So it's been a really fun experience for us to get together and talk about beer.
I love living here and the fact that so much history happened in this city. And I just wanted to do my part, which was I make beer, which pales in comparison to the work that a lot of amazing folks did here. Being here for 6 years now, I've seen a huge change in how craft beer has, little by little, grown a foothold here in the state. And I want to continue to advance that and show people, have them proud of what's made, not only in their own city, but their own state. Drink local.
The Alabama Brewers Guild lists 37 local breweries as members, representing 21 different cities. And if you want to know more about how other groups are celebrating the state's big birthday, just go online to alabama200.org. When Simply Southern continues, the cotton gin revolutionized agriculture 200 years ago. Up next, we'll visit a high-tech facility that could revolutionize the cotton ginning business.
1 out of 4 Alabama residents have benefited from the Alabama Cooperative Extension System. Last year, Master Gardener Managed Gardens donated $150,000 worth of fruits and vegetables to food banks, and over 25,000 young people developed math, science, technology, and engineering skills through 4-H. Now what we want to know is, how can we help you?
The versatile peanut, meat of the earth, friend of the soil, tasty, nutritious, packed with protein. And Alabama peanut farmers nourish some very special things: families, communities, and Alabama's economy. Peanuts. Good for you, good for Alabama.
And
And now, an Alabama tourism spotlight from Sweet Home, Alabama. If you happen to be in Birmingham, pop over to 3rd Avenue and visit Jim Reed Books and the Museum of Fond Memories. At this unique emporium, you'll find rows of collectible items including rare books, movie posters, old newspapers, and much more. There are almost 50,000 items inventoried, with another 250,000 not cataloged. This makes a browse through history an hour-long pursuit. Hold a piece of history in your hands and peruse one of the leather-bound books dating back 400 years. And be sure to check out the storefront window display with a large Piggly Wiggly costume head and the major prize lamp like the one in the movie A Christmas Story. For your next adventure, go online to alabama.travel.
We've been raising fish for 33 years. Our farm and the catfish farms in Hale County in this area have had a huge impact on the labor, offering jobs. It's been a big economic boom for West Alabama. Our family is fully invested in U.S. farm-raised catfish.
Before the invention of the cotton gin, it took one person a full day to remove the seeds from just 1 pound of cotton. The machine Eli Whitney invented increased that number to 50 pounds per day.
But Mr. Whitney could have never imagined a cotton gin like the one Kevin Worthington is about to show you. This high-tech facility has increased production from 35 500-pound bales per hour to more than 50.
In about a minute and a half, a bowl of cotton can go from one of these speckled 2.5-ton rolls straight out of the field, through all of this machinery to remove the seeds and trash, and be pressed into a pristine 500-pound bale ready for the yarn mill.
This is the most modern gin in the world, in my opinion. It's got some of the latest technology available to cotton gins, and it's the first ground-up new construction to have the Kelly Electric Gin Manager system. Plus it has the Cherokee 270 gin stands, which are the largest gin stands in the world.
Most cotton gins have a large control panel, and it's up to an operator to monitor all of the machine's separate functions. The advanced computer system at Cheorkee Gin in Center, Alabama automatically keeps track of all the different activities, so the various parts all work together.
It seems like it's a lot different than the gin of my granddad and great-granddad's age, but it's really not. The principle hadn't changed. The biggest difference is the automation and the capacity, the wider equipment, the cleaning equipment that's in this gin. Those technologies have advanced, but ultimately we're still removing the seed from the fiber and packaging the fiber in a bale, sending it off to a yarn mill for production.
But the automation has increased production from a peak of 34 bales an hour at their old gin to nearly 60 per hour here, with the potential to go higher. Even outside the main building, the entire complex was designed to maximize productivity.
We wanted a gin that would provide fast, efficient service at the best quality, and that's what we've been looking for in coming up with this scenario here. We tried to put the warehouse, the seed house, all of it together here, the modular storage, so that we can operate at the least possible cost.
Like any other type of technology, software is constantly being updated. That's why the Cherokee Gin was built to be easily modified as technology advances.
It's just like computers and phones. 2 weeks after you buy it, there's something better out there. But as we serve a large customer base and gin about roughly 10% of the cotton is ginned in the state of Alabama, and many years are the largest producing gin in the state of Alabama, we intend to keep the gin current and relevant. We intend to incorporate new technologies and new ideas as they come along.
Before construction began, the Lindseys and their partners researched the new facility for about 4 years. Cherokee Gin is a result of the consolidation of a number of similar operations over the past several years.
The gin that we're running now, which was the compilation of the two families' gins, which was Jordan Gin and Lindsey Brothers Gin, and we merged in the year 2000 and bought the old Public Gin and Center and did a major remodel in 2012. Seeing that the need for acreage and the timeliness about getting cotton ginned, we saw the need to do something different and to expand.
The Lindsey family has gin cotton since 1934, and this new facility is the fourth cotton gin on Jordan family land. Family members say they believe their ancestors would be pleased at how they've carried on the family traditions.
It's an amazing feeling, and getting to know that my grandfather and Richard's father, to know that they're looking down on us and what they've accomplished and what we've done here is amazing. I think they'd be very proud for sure.
For Simply Southern, I'm Kevin Worthington.
What one thing can you say about your local quality co-op store? You can trust us. You get what you need for your farm, for your lawn and garden, and the safest products for your pets. We're locally owned and operated, and you can trust that we care about our community and the people in it. So if you're a raised bed gardener, a rose gardener, or if you farm hundreds of acres, the Quality Co-op Store has exactly what you need to get the job done. All this plus friendly, knowledgeable advice. Your Quality Co-op Store. There's one near you.
What we eat, what we wear. It all starts somewhere. And if it's good, it usually starts with a farmer. And that somewhere is right here in Alabama. In a field, in a barn, on a tractor. Right now, there's a farmer starting something good for all of us. And it all starts right here in Alabama.
FFA makes a positive difference in the lives of students by developing their potential for premier leadership, personal growth, and career success through agricultural education.
We're strengthening American agriculture and providing our members with the skills needed to build healthy local communities, a strong nation, and a sustainable world.
We are the next generation of agriculture.
It's our turn now.
Let's show the world what we can achieve together.
We are FFA.
For more Simply Southern, be sure to follow us on social media. And while you're online, visit our website, simplysouthern.tv.net. Simply Southern will continue in a moment.
We believe a plant should be more than a plant. This one is. It's all you need for your garden to succeed because it's a Bonnie plant. It represents hundreds of varieties of Bonnie's quality veggies and herbs. But more, it's from generations of Bonnie people who are passionate about sharing their love of gardening with you. Look for this little Bonnie plant and a whole family of plants like it in your garden center. Bonnie plants, so you'll know how to grow.
Hey folks, Sidney Phelps here with Bonnie Plants. Today we are talking about what does the color of the tomato equal to the flavor. Now, you have all sorts of options for tomatoes, and if you go to our website, bonnieplants.com, and use the tomato chooser, it will let you point and click all different ways that you can try to select the best tomato for you. Because with over 50 varieties of tomatoes, it's difficult to get somebody's personal needs all wrapped up into one. So today what we want to talk about is flavor, and what can you expect whenever you get ready to harvest these tomatoes. Now, I'm going to start off with the most acidic style tomatoes, and that's going to be our dark tomatoes. So I've got right here in front of me, this is basically a Cherokee purple style tomato. The darker the tomato is, the more acidic they are. So this is really popular right now. You see a lot of heirlooms in restaurants. Chefs tend to use these Cherokee purples, these black crims, black prints. Anything that you hear on that darker side is going to have a very smoky texture and flavor to it, as well as giving a very high acid content. So these are not going to be your sweet tomatoes. They're not going to be fruity. Look for a smoky, acidic level when you're dealing with this tomato. Now, next from there, you're going to get into your classic style tomato that is just a round and red. This is a little bit on the lighter side. This is more of a pink, but that bright red tomato that everybody is so familiar with, those tomatoes are going to have a very crisp, acidic taste, as well as a little bit of sweet sugary on the end. That's your Better Boys, your Big Boys, Parks Whopper, Bonnie Original. all the things that you look at from those standpoints. That's that classic red and round that have been around for years and most all gardeners want to use. Now, one thing that you may not know, if you go down just a little bit level in color, look at your pink tomatoes, German Queen, German Johnson, pink Brandywine, or pink Girl. These tomatoes are going to be a little bit sweeter. They're going to take some of the acidic level off. These are perfect when you're doing any kind of stews, soups, anything along those lines. Those are perfect to use those style platforms. Now, this is going to be a little bit sweeter taste, like I said, but the next step from there is going to a yellow tomato. When you're dealing with a yellow tomato, now you're starting to lower the acidic level and get the sweet level up a little bit more. If you get into the cherry versions, like what we've got here, these snacking style are going to be just very sweet, very fruity, a sugary style tomato. That's going to follow your yellow cherry, which is the Sun Sugar or Sun Gold. Sun Sugar is very sweet, which is why it's got that sugary taste. And then you also get into Lemon Boy or Golden Jubilee like I have here. These tomatoes are classic. They're going to have a little bit more of a sweet flavor, like I said, not as much acid. So if you deal with acid reflux or anything like that, these are great tomatoes to go for you. Now, traditionally, you're always wondering about the last ones on the vine or the first ones on the vine, and that is your standard green tomato. These are going to have a little bit of a bitter taste, but this is perfect for fried green tomatoes. So this is the one you want to go ahead and get onto early, start slicing into that, batter it up, throw it in the frying pan and get ready. Now, talking about tomatoes, size does matter. You can deal with striped tomatoes, you can deal with solid color tomatoes. These right here that are striped like a Mr. Stripey have got a great flavor profile that's a little bit acidic, a little bit sweet. It's kind of a mixture of everything. So you can go check out the Mr. Stripey. That's a perfect combination for that. If you want to find out more information about the best tomatoes that you can use or where to find that out, go to bonnieplants.com, search for the tomato chooser, and go right through that to find out which tomato is going to be best for your growing conditions and also the flavor that you want.
BonniePlants.com will tell you everything you need to know about all the plants in your garden. But if you'd like to ask Sidney a question, email him at simplysouthern@alafarm.com. We'll send you some nice gifts if he answers the question on the air.
Well, Mary, grab your purse. It's time for us to go. Thanks, folks, for watching Simply Southern today. Next week, we'll visit Belle Chèvre, which I think is French for y'all have got to try this cheese.
We'll also meet restaurateurs who are using their businesses to feed the hungry and improve their communities. I'm Mary Johns.
And I'm Jim Allen. We'll see you then.
Simply Southern is a production of the Alabama Farmers Cooperative and the Alabama Farmers Federation.